My wife cheated with my business partner, convinced him to transfer $250, $0 into her account for investment, and then vanished with our house worth $750, $0 and nearly all our savings. Now she's suing me for half of everything when I had no idea she was planning this all along. I never thought my life would turn into some kind of nightmare, but here I am, writing this down because I need to get it out. If you had told me a year ago that my wife, Lisa, would betray me so badly, I'd have laughed in your face. But the truth is, the signs were there, small things at first, like her being secretive about her phone or disappearing for hours without explanation. I always just blamed it on work stress or her needing some space. We had a good life, or so I thought. We built a successful business together, had a nice house in the suburbs, and everything seemed stable. But I missed the signs of her growing distance, the little lies she told, the way she was quick to snap at me over nothing. It all started to unravel when I started noticing strange bank activity. At first I thought maybe I was just paranoid, but then I saw the transfer 250, sent from her account to some investment she claimed was for her boutique. She insisted it was just a new venture she was excited about, something to make us more money. I was skeptical but trusted her. She's always been good at spinning stories, especially when it comes to money. The thing is, she's always been pretty bitchy about the way I handle our finances, saying I'm too controlling, too cautious. She liked to buy expensive clothes, go on trips, and I let her because I believed it was her money too. But that transfer set alarms off in my head. It was a huge amount and I didn't see how she could justify it with her investment plans. Then, a couple of days later, I noticed her acting weird. She was more distant, avoiding my questions, brushing me off when I asked about her day. She'd get defensive if I looked at her phone, which was unlike her. She always used to be open, at least about the big stuff. Now she was hiding her messages and calls. One night I came home early from a business trip and decided to surprise her. I walked in and found her, not surprisingly, in bed with her boss from her part-time job, Tom. I saw them from the hallway, caught in the act. The way they looked at each other, like they were the only two people in the world, made my stomach drop. I never knew she was having sex with her boss, but I guess I should seen the signs. She'd been acting strange lately, and I just didn't want to believe she'd do something so reckless and cruel. The confrontation was brutal. I was furious, hurt completely. I told her I saw them and she just shrugged, acting like I was overreacting. "It's not what you think," she said with that fake, bitchy smile. She tried to lie her way out, claiming Tom was just a friend, that I was paranoid. But I knew better. I told her I saw the way she looked at him, the way they were touching. She laughed, said I was being jealous and insecure, that she needed someone who appreciated her. That was the moment I realized she'd been cheating on me for months, maybe longer. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. All the trust, all the years we shared, just crumbling in that instant. What made it worse was the money. I started digging into her accounts, trying to understand how she managed to pull this off without me knowing. Turns out, she convinced Tom to transfer $250, $0 into her account under the guise of an investment. She told him she was trying to start her own business, and he was gullible enough to believe her. But she didn't tell him she already planned to run off with everything. Our house, our savings, the entire life we built. I found out she'd already arranged for a lawyer, was planning to sue me for half of everything. Our house worth $750, $0, nearly all our savings, everything. I was stunned. How could she do this to me? How could she betray everything we had for some cheap thrill and a quick cash grab? That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head, her lies, her betrayal, the way she looked at Tom. I felt humiliated, betrayed, and furious. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, turned out to be nothing but a manipulative, selfish bitch. I couldn't believe I had been so blind. All I could think about was how I was going to fix this mess, how I was going to get justice. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about money or her cheating. It was about the fact that she destroyed everything we built, all for some stupid affair and a quick scam. I was left with nothing but pain and a burning desire for revenge. The question was, how do I fight back against someone so cunning and ruthless? After that night, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and my mind kept racing with thoughts of how I'd been played. I started digging deeper into her accounts, her phone, her emails, anything that might give me a clue about what she was planning or who she was working with. I wasn't naive enough to think she'd just run off with the money and leave it at that. No, she had to have a plan. And sure enough, I found evidence that she'd already spoken to a lawyer, someone who specializes in divorce and financial disputes. That's when I realized she was serious about taking everything from me. Not just cheating, but also legally fighting for her share of what we owned. I remember sitting in my office, staring at the bank statements and her messages, feeling like I was losing my mind. It hit me hard that Lisa, my wife of 10 years, was capable of this level of deception. She'd always been a little bitchy, yes, but I never thought she'd be capable of orchestrating something this cold and calculated. She'd always been flirtatious, sure, but this was something else entirely. She lied about everything, about the investment, about her business plans, even about her feelings for me. It was like I was looking at a stranger, someone I didn't even recognize. The worst part, she had the nerve to keep lying during our confrontations. I confronted her again after I found out about the lawyer, and she just snapped at me, told me I was paranoid, accused me of not trusting her, as if I was the one who'd betrayed her. She called me controlling and said I was suffocating her. She insisted she'd never cheat on me, that the whole thing with Tom was just a mistake, a lapse in judgment, like that makes it. Okay, she was so bitchy, so manipulative, I started to wonder if I'd ever really known her at all. It was like she was playing the victim while she was the one who'd been lying and sneaking around for months. Meanwhile, her lawyer was sending me these aggressive letters, demanding half of everything. Our house, our savings, even my business. She's claiming I was negligent and unfit as a husband because I didn't see her plans coming. I mean, seriously. How could I have known she was planning to run off with a lover and $250,000? I felt betrayed, crushed, and furious at how she was trying to turn everything around on me. It's like she was trying to rewrite history, make me the bad guy so she could justify her betrayal. But I wasn't going down without a fight. I started to realize I needed to get ahead of her legal game. I hired my own lawyer, someone who specializes in financial fraud and divorce cases. I gathered all the evidence I could, bank statements, text messages, emails, everything. I knew she was planning to screw me over, and I was determined not to let her get away with it. I also started planning my next move, how to protect what was left of my assets, how to confront her publicly, and how to make her pay for what she'd done. I wasn't just angry, I was furious. The woman I'd loved and trusted turned out to be a manipulative bitch who'd been screwing around behind my back and planning to steal everything I worked for. The thing is, I also felt a deep sense of betrayal that cut to the core. I realized I'd been blind to her true nature all along. She'd always been bitchy, quick to judge, and never really satisfied. Now I see her for who she is, a selfish, vindictive woman who thought she could get away with everything. But I wasn't going to let her. I was determined to fight, to expose her lies, and to reclaim what was mine. The whole situation is a mess, and I'm still trying to process it all. It's like waking up from a nightmare, knowing I was played for a fool, and now I have to pick up the pieces. But I swear she's not going to get away with this without consequences. Not on my watch. The more I dug into her plans, the more I realized just how sick and calculated she'd become. Lisa wasn't just cheating on me. She was orchestrating her entire escape route with Tom, the lawyer, and anyone else she thought could help her take everything I had. I found emails where she was discussing how to divide everything fairly with her lawyer, but it was clear she was planning to screw me over from the start. She kept insisting she was just trying to start fresh, that she deserved half because she was married to me all these years, but I knew better. She was just greedy, manipulative, and bitchy, always had been, but now it was on full display. I remember the day I finally confronted her again, face to face. I told her I had everything, bank records, texts, emails, and I wasn't going to let her lie her way out of this. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, trying to act innocent like I was the one overreacting. She said, "You're just jealous because I'm finally doing something for myself. You always controlled me and I needed to break free. That was her defense, blaming me for her betrayal. She insisted she loved me, that she didn't cheat because she wanted to hurt me, but because she needed space and wanted to feel alive. Yeah, right, I saw through her bullshit. She was just mad I was catching on and she was panicking. Meanwhile, she kept lying about her investment, claiming she was trying to build something legit, that she was working hard to make it all work out. But I found out she'd already transferred the money 250 into her account and she was planning to disappear. She'd even bought a one-way ticket to some tropical island, supposedly for business. But I knew she was running away with Tom, with my house, my savings, everything. She kept telling me she'd sue me for half of everything, and that I was a controlling husband who never listened. That bitchy attitude, the lies, the way she flipped the script, it was like I was dealing with a stranger, not the woman I'd married. It hit me hard. All these years I thought we had something real, something solid. Turns out I was just fooling myself. She'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. I was just too blind to see it. The betrayal cut so deep I felt numb. I trusted her with my life, my business, my future. And she'd been screwing around with her boss, lying about everything and plotting her escape. I couldn't believe I'd been so naive. The woman I thought I knew was a manipulative, bitchy liar who'd do anything to get what she wanted: money, freedom, whatever. And I was left holding the pieces of a shattered life, trying to figure out how to fight back. I started talking to a lawyer I found who specializes in cheating spouses and financial fraud. He told me I had a good case, especially since I had proof of her transfer and her plans to run away with the house and savings. But that didn't make it easier. Every time I thought about her, I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and frustration. How could she do this? How could she be so bitchy, so selfish? I kept asking myself if I'd missed the signs, if I'd been too controlling, or if I was just a fool for trusting her. The truth is, I still loved her, even after everything. But love doesn't fix betrayal. It just makes you feel even more stupid for believing in someone who clearly didn't deserve it. Now I'm stuck in this mess, trying to figure out what's next. The house is technically still mine, but she's already started the legal process to claim half of it. I have to prepare for a fight. One I didn't want, but one I know I can't avoid. It's not just about the money anymore. It's about exposing her lies, her manipulations, and making her pay for the pain she caused. I don't know what the future holds, but one thing for sure: I'm not going down without a fight. I may be broken, but I'm not beaten. And I swear she's going to regret ever crossing me. After I gathered all the evidence, I realized I had a serious legal battle ahead of me. Lisa was smart. She knew exactly how to manipulate the situation. She'd already hired her own lawyer, someone who specialized in divorce and financial disputes. That bitchy lawyer was sending me these aggressive letters, claiming I was abusive for controlling the money, that I was negligent as a husband, and trying to paint her as the victim. I couldn't believe how she was spinning everything, making me look like the bad guy. Meanwhile, she was out there planning her escape, probably thinking she was untouchable. I decided I had to fight fire with fire. I hired my own lawyer, someone who knew how to handle these kinds of manipulative women. We started collecting every piece of evidence: bank statements, text messages, emails, even her phone logs. I wanted to make sure I'd have everything ready if she tried to take me to court for half of everything. The moment I saw her lawyer's letter threatening to sue for half of the assets, I knew I had to step up. This wasn't just about the betrayal anymore. It was about protecting what was mine. I worked day and night, trying to stay ahead of her legal game. In the meantime, I also started to look into how she managed to transfer that money without me noticing. Turns out, she'd been secretly setting things up for months. She'd created fake invoices, forged some signatures, and used Tom to transfer the money under the guise of investment. Also, she could run away with it. It was sickening to think she'd been planning this all along. And the worst part, she convinced Tom to transfer $250 into her account, promising him she'd pay him back once she got her life together. That piece of shit Tom was just as guilty, probably knew what she was up to, but went along because he wanted a piece of her too. I started feeling like I was in some kind of nightmare. Every day, I'd wake up and think about how she'd betrayed me, how she'd lied and manipulated everyone around her. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs. She was always bitchy, quick to judge, and never satisfied. Maybe I was just blind to who she really was. Now I see she was just a selfish, manipulative woman who'd do anything to get what she wanted, even if it meant destroying everything I built. I felt so angry, angrier than I'd ever been in my life. How could she do this to me? How could she be so bitchy and cold, so willing to ruin us for some stupid affair? The legal process was brutal. Every day I had to deal with her lawyer's bullshit, trying to twist things to her advantage. I knew I had to stay strong and keep fighting. I wasn't going to let her walk away with my house, my savings, or my dignity. I started documenting everything, every conversation, every dollar transfer, every lie she told. I wanted to make sure I'd have enough proof to fight her in court. I also reached out to some friends and family, trying to get support. The truth was, I felt completely alone. I trusted her for so many years, and now I was left with a hollow feeling inside, wondering how I got so. Meanwhile, Lisa kept up her act of innocence, pretending she was the victim. She accused me of being controlling, of not trusting her, and say I was the reason she cheated. That bitchy attitude was her way of gaslighting me, making me doubt myself. But I knew the truth. I knew she was the one who'd been lying, cheating, and scheming behind my back. I started to realize that this wasn't just about money or betrayal. It was about her need to control everything, to get what she wanted regardless of who she hurt. And I was just a pawn in her game. I often wonder how I let it get this far, how I was so blind to her true nature, but I also know I can't change the past. All I can do now is fight for what's rightfully mine and make her pay for what she's done. I'm tired, emotionally drained, but I refuse to give up. This is war, and I have to stay strong. I won't let her walk all over me, not after everything we went through. The coming days will be tough, I know that, but I'm ready to face whatever's coming. I just want justice, and I want to see her finally held accountable for the bitchy, manipulative woman she's become. The legal fight dragged on, and each day felt like an endless battle. Lisa's lawyer kept pushing her narrative, painting her as the victim, claiming I was an oppressive husband who stifled her dreams, that she was forced into this situation. But I had proof, screenshots of her transferring money, her messages with Tom, her plans to leave everything behind. I knew I had a solid case, but it didn't make the process any easier. Every hearing, every court date felt like a punch to the stomach. She was bitchy, arrogant, and convinced she was going to come out on top. Meanwhile, I was just trying to hold myself together, trying not to lose my mind. One of the hardest moments was when Lisa filed her lawsuit, claiming half of everything: the house, the savings, even my business. She argued I was reckless, that I was controlling, that I'd driven her to cheat. She played the victim, saying I was suffocating her and not allowing her to be herself. That bitchy tone, her manipulative words, they cut deep. I could see right through her act, but it still hurt. How could she be so cold, so ruthless? It was like she was trying to destroy everything I'd worked for just to save her own ass. I knew I had to prepare for the worst. I gathered every piece of evidence I could: bank statements, texts, emails, even witnesses who saw her sneaking around with Tom. I hired a private investigator to dig into her financials and her movements. Turns out she'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. She'd forged documents, created fake invoices, and used Tom to transfer that $250, $0 without my knowledge. She'd even bought a ticket to some tropical island under a fake name, planning to disappear with the house, the savings, everything. I was furious. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and helpless all at once. But I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I realized I'd been a fool for trusting her so blindly. Lisa had always been bitchy, quick to judge, and manipulative. She just hid it well. Now I saw her for what she really was: a selfish, vindictive woman willing to tear apart our life for her own greed. I couldn't let her get away with it. I started to strategize how I could turn things around, how I could expose her lies and make her pay for everything she'd done. I knew I had to stay calm, keep my head clear, and fight smart. No matter how much it hurt, I refused to let her destroy me completely. The emotions were anger, sadness, disbelief. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see her bitchy side earlier. But I also knew that dwelling on the past wouldn't help. I had to focus on the future, on protecting what was mine. I decided I wouldn't let her take everything without a fight. I would stand my ground, challenge her in court, and make sure she paid for her betrayal. It's not just about the money anymore. It's about reclaiming my dignity and showing her that she can't manipulate and lie her way out of this. Every day now, I prepare for the next step. I've hired a forensic accountant to evaluate her accounts and see if she's hidden any more money. I'm also talking to real estate experts about what's next for the house, whether I can keep it or if she'll somehow manage to get her hands on it. I've realized she's bitchy, ruthless, and cunning, but I'm not going down without a fight. I won't let her ruin me, not after everything we shared. I just hope that in the end, truth will come out and she'll finally be held accountable for the damage she's caused. It's a long road ahead, but I'm ready to walk it, no matter how hard it gets. In the end, everything I thought I knew about my life, my marriage, and Lisa's character was shattered. The courtroom was the final, and I was determined to see her exposed for the bitchy, manipulative woman she'd become. It took months of legal battles, endless paperwork, and countless nights of sleepless worry, but I finally started to see some justice. The judge ordered her to return the money she transferred, those $250, $0 she convinced Tom to send, and to give up her claim on the house. It was a small victory, but a necessary one. Still, the emotional scars run deep. Looking back, I realize how much I was blinded by love, by trust, and by the idea that we had a future together. Lisa's betrayal taught me that some people are capable of anything, lying, cheating, manipulating, all for their own selfish gain. She was bitchy, entitled, and utterly ruthless in her pursuit of money and freedom. I never thought I'd be the guy left picking up the pieces after such a betrayal, but here I am. I've learned the hard way that you can't change people. Sometimes, you just have to accept who they are and protect yourself. I've also come to understand that revenge isn't about revenge anymore. It's about justice, about reclaiming my dignity and making her face the consequences of her actions. I'm still healing, still trying to put the pieces of my life back together, but I'm stronger for it. I've cut ties with her completely, moved out of the house, and started rebuilding my life from scratch. It's not easy, and I won't pretend it is, but I know I'm better off without her. If there's one thing I want others to take away from this mess, it's that trust can be a dangerous thing, especially when you're dealing with someone who's bitchy, manipulative, and willing to betray everything for money and sex. Watch for the signs, listen to your gut, and don't be afraid to fight for what's rightfully yours. Because in the end, no amount of love or trust can protect you from someone willing to destroy everything just to get what they want. So that's my story. It's raw, it's messy, and it's still ongoing in some ways. But I hope it helps someone out there who might be going through something similar. Trust is fragile, and betrayal cuts deep. But you have to stand up, fight back, and never let anyone take away your dignity. Because in the end, that's all you really have.